22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Welcome everyone to the July 23rd, 2025 kickoff meeting to the Exeter Budget Recommendations Committee. I am Bob Kelly, the current chair of the committee for another few minutes. And I will start the meeting off with introductions. Again, I'm Bob Kelly. Right now, I'm the chair of the Water and Sewer Subcommittee and the DPW General Subcommittee in addition to the overall committee. Franny?
I'm Fran Hall, Prentice Way. Last year I served on the Water and Sewer Committee. I'm assuming I will again.
Don Cloutier. I was on the Fire and Police Subcommittee and intend to stick with it.
David Kovar, Fire, Police, happy to do something else. Happy to do that.
Andrew Elliott, DPW General last year. Probably will be happy to do that again this year.
Judy Rowan, Prentice Way. I'm chair of the Police and Fire Subcommittee. I will do what Bob tells me to do.
Good evening, everyone. Corey Stevens, Finance Director for the town.
Good evening, everyone. Melissa Roy, Assistant Town Manager.
Good evening, Christopher Zigmont on Crestview Drive on General Government Committee, Subcommittee.
Amanda Kelly, always on the first meeting, we mentioned that we're not related, although we would happily be father-daughter if we could.
Wait, what?
Retroactively. Didn't we say that?
Young uncle. I figure young uncle.
You said you were my father last year.
She got
All right. Well, I'm not wanted anymore.
Start doing the
I guess I'm gonna move.
I think I'll be a redhead like Judy.
Last year, general government and both DPWs.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We also have Liz Canada snuck in the back door.
I did.
Welcome.
Liz Canada, here I am.
There you are. And Nancy Belanger, the Select Board Representative, is also with us this evening. Off mic, as she likes it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Nico is at a public hearing on behalf of the town down in Kensington with our Public Works Director regarding our groundwater project that we've extended monies toward over the last few years, so hopefully that goes well. But he asked me to read a statement on his behalf, which I will do. Good evening. I regret that I'm unable to join you this evening. I'm representing the town of Exeter at a public hearing in Kensington. On behalf of the Select Board, I extend a welcome to new members on the committee and a welcome back to all you veteran committee members. As always, the Select Board sincerely appreciates all the work you put in to reviewing the draft budget. We look forward to watching your meetings and presentations and ultimately look forward to your recommendations. As you will see, this year will present challenges, some old and some new. Assistant Town Manager Melissa Roy and Finance Director Corey Stevens, as well as the respective department heads, are ready to work with you and will be excellent resources for you as you commence your work. Again, thank you for volunteering to serve on this committee, and I look forward to seeing you in late September. Respectfully, Nico Papakastadis, Town of Exeter Select Board Chair. Do you have anything to add to that as a Select Board representative?
Everything perfectly, but thank you. And thank you all again for participating in our budget process.
Great. So before we get to general comments, depending on who will make those, we will begin with nomination and election of board chair and vice chair. This past year, I was the chair, and Chris Suter was the vice chair, and we certainly welcome new blood if that is the committee's decision. So I'll open the floor up to nominations for chair of the Budget Recommendations Committee.
I'd like to nominate Bob Kelly, the seasoned veteran, to be chair.
I'd like to second that.
Well, thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of voting in Amanda's graying father as the chair for the FY26 Budget Recommendations Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Oh, she's getting started early.
Now, Chris indicated that she was not going to be able to be here. She, again, was the vice chair last year, which I sort of thought maybe you'd take the opportunity to vote her in as chair in her absence. But again, anyone can be vice chair. Obviously, it's not a lot of heavy lifting. It's more if I can't make it, run the meeting. And,
I'll nominate Anna Grazier. Anna. And we have had conversations with her, and she's accepting.
You have.
I second.
Yes.
Easy to say when she's not here.
It is. And she's actually in Yosemite without access to a cell phone, so you can't even check.
Is that your podcast voice? Easy to say when she's not
Now
here.
I've got a microphone again, yes.
Did you second that, Judy?
I did.
And this is for Anna Grazer, just so I'm you know.
She's gonna
It has nothing to do that you spend about $25,000 a year at our coffee shop.
I also just fixed the ice machine today, so I earned my keep. So. It has nothing to do with that. Nope.
Okay.
Has Chris
Great.
indicated that she would like to be, because she's not here?
Chris is ambivalent, I think. She would be happy to bark from the sidelines as she loves to do, and she's very good at it.
Okay.
And, but again, we can nominate other folks if we'd like. And I'm sure we'll be an awesome vice chair. Okay, seeing no additional nominations, all those in favor of approving Anna Grazier as the Budget Recommendations Committee Vice Chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
Always go to meetings, people.
Welcome.
I'm taking
Anna.
your word that she wants to.
That's right. Always show up to meetings.
She's gonna show
You
up
just
tonight.
voted. You're done.
It's too late now.
Exactly.
She's
That
it.
was when you miss the meetings.
Yeah, you get voluntold for work.
So, I think everyone here was on the committee last year. We don't anticipate any significant changes in the approach. I have, except for Tan Swan, everyone who was on the committee last year is on again this year. And it was a great group. I think we drilled nice and deep into a lot of the issues, a lot of really dicey issues. Melissa and Corey will get into some of the details, but the budget process this year is going to be very difficult. A lot of requests right off the top that we sort of don't have control over. Debt service, health care, of course, and things like that. So it's going to require a lot of thought. I think there will end up being a lot of difficult choices on things that perhaps we do on a regular basis, perfunctory, if you will. But we're really going to have to think about things this year. Budget over the last 2 years has gone up in either the general, water, or sewer, sometimes multiples of that, several percentage points more than what we generally like to see. So it will be incumbent upon us to really scrub the numbers and work with Corey, Melissa, and see where we go. Our goal, my goal has never been to peg a number. The budget line items speak for themselves, and we debate them and come to some conclusions. So as long as we support what we've done, and I think we have had civil debates over the last several years, and I would like to continue that and have respect for one another and one another's opinions. And I'll do my best to make sure that everybody gets heard in order, and if not, then let me know. With that, we'll get right in.
Quick question?
Oh, sure, Fran.
Do we have any new members?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I was going over my list.
Jay.
I'm sorry?
Jay's back. Jay Childs, but he's just not here.
That's right. Jay Childs is back.
The writer?
No, he was on it in the early 2000 teens, and
Years ago.
then he went off, and he's really good. He knows what he's doing, and he'll be an excellent addition.
Bob, I just want to say I was glad to hear your remarks in that I've been hearing from a lot of people and reading the Exeter Community Forum with a lot of concern about taxes given inflation. The reassessment really hit a lot of people hard with the property values going up and the tax rate not going down enough to make it level, that taxes did increase. I've just been hearing from people a desire that we really hold the line as much as we can, given the many other increases in living expenses that people are paying for.
That's what we're going to have to do. Okay, with that, Melissa, who is, I guess, our acting town manager for the foreseeable future, or at least assistant town manager, but we'll be working closely with Melissa as Russ has tendered his resignation effective the end of the year. Wow. And in the meantime, because the budget process is fairly important and will be obviously go beyond December 31st, that Melissa is and Corey will be stepping up and acting as more of the leadership in that regard on behalf of the town than in the past. Melissa.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and all the hours that you're going to give us over the next few months. So, Corey and I are going to speak tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about the warrant articles that were passed or didn't pass last year and give you a quick status update as to where those projects are so that you guys know what you voted on and what we've been doing. And then Corey is going to talk a little bit about some of the issues that we have coming up in this budget year to be prepared as the departments come to you and CIP starts to come to you. So the first warrant article that passed was the Drinkwater Road groundwater development for $6.8 million. We are working with PEA on a groundwater easement. We're drafting that. That's at legal right now. The initial yield testing of the well, came back fantastic and actually yielded a higher amount of water than we expected. So that was really great news. We have the survey and final design progress meeting scheduled in actually on Friday. And as Bob said, there's currently a public hearing in Kensington because as an abutter, they were allowed to raise their hand and say, we have some questions about the water withdrawal. So Nico, our select board chair, and our DPW director is there. Hopefully it will come out with some, well monitoring and nothing else, but we'll hold our fingers for that. Any questions about about Drinkwater? All right. Pickpocket dam removal was passed. I know that's sort of been on your agenda for many years, and it finally made it onto the warrant last year, which is great. We received a $300,000 grant from Great Bay 2030, and that is going to be working on some of the design construction documents that need to happen. We are waiting for 2 of the other grants, which we hope to hear in the next few months, which would be 100% of the project. So the entire amount of the project had to get put on the warrant. We are actively working on grants, but because we do have a deadline of 2027 from DES, we did need to put the entire amount on. So hopefully in our budget process, you'll hear about the grants, but we're still waiting.
And was that written, remind me, was that written if we don't get 100% of the grants, it doesn't go through?
No, so that one, there were 2 other ones, the styrofoam recycling, right. And I can't remember, but that one wasn't written that way because we do have a requirement from the state to fix the dam. Yeah.
So we've already pulled the bond for that then, no? No. We haven't pulled the bond. Okay.
Yeah,
we're not paying interest on that yet.
We haven't borrowed any money.
Okay, good.
We're trying to be quite strategic.
Yeah, please, yeah.
And you'll hear a little bit, we, even with the public safety building, we took a ban out so that we weren't paying interest on the full amount until we were ready. So we're trying to be quite strategic with our borrowing. Okay. The next project that passed was our Linden Street Bridge repairs. We went out to bid, and all of the bids came back too much. So I give credit to Director Cronin. He was able to work with Wright Pierce, and DPW was able to take some of it on through their paving budget and a few other things to make it so that we could move forward with the project within our budget, which is fantastic. We're going to be taking over traffic control. We worked on bridge rail demolition, and we're going to be working on the final paving, and that was a way to try to get that cost down so we could do that. As anybody knows that does the reverse 911, work on the bridge began July 14th, and we do expect it to be closed all the way until about November 20th. It's a pretty substantial project. The next thing the town voted on and passed, which was our DPW fuel island. They have a contract out with Lakes Region Environmental, and they are working on the final design documents for removal of the current tank and installation of the new fuel island. So they're working on that. The only warrant article to fail at last year's election was the street sweeper. And I had a lot of conversations with people asking why they thought that was the case. And one of the things that came up was a lot of people that I spoke with didn't realize that the street sweeper is so important because of our nitrogen reduction plan. And the reason our nitrogen reduction plan is so important is that currently our nitrogen permit for what is in the river determines what our wastewater treatment plant can, how much nitrogen it can put back into the river. So the street sweeper, by picking up all of the debris around town, gets it out of our stormwater and out of the river. We have one more year left on our permit, and it is imperative that we keep as much nitrogen out of the river as we can. So this street sweeper is pretty important to that project. So we will be moving forward with a grant. I can't remember if it's clean water, stormwater, I can't remember. One of the state grants.
It's going to be CW.
Yeah, clean water. So we'll be looking for reimbursement program like we did last time. So hopefully we can get that information and education out to people a little bit better next time. The next one was...
Before...
Sure, yeah.
You continue. We do have a street sweeper. Mm-hmm. It's just that with the duty that has been... well, first of all, it's very old, but also it's been doing like double duty over the last several years as this permit has gotten more and more onerous. So the intent here was to get something, newer, modern, and easier to operate and more effective. But it's not like we're doing nothing. So we will continue to be meeting our permit, but in order to make that easier on our staff, a newer piece of equipment is required at some point.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So the next one we have was the front Linden and Pine, additional $250,000 for the drainage and sewer lines underneath. So we have successfully completed all of the easements that are necessary in all of the abutters. We had to adjust the plans. I think it was like a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, and so we've secured all of those. We are currently working on the scope for replacement with VHB. We just had a utility pole relocated, and the town has been working with the church because they're concerned about parking. So we're moving forward on that project. The next project that was passed was the Clemson Lagoon Clean and Inspect. So we have Wright Pierce under contract. They are soliciting proposals for the survey and the inspection of the CSO barrels. The CSO barrels go underneath the river, but the difference between that and the siphons, the CSO barrels are quite large. So if there is something wrong with the CSO barrels, we're crossing our fingers and hoping that it could be slip lined if it needs to be improved. So we're hoping that it isn't another issue like that. So keep our fingers crossed there. And then we have a structural team with Wright Pierce also working on the tide gates, and we expect this work to be started this fall. And the wastewater treatment plant effluent flume repair. So again, we're under contract with Wright Pierce. They have selected the product that they want to install in the flume. They're waiting for a proposal for final costing, and the project is expected to start at the end of this summer. So those are all of the major CIPs. We had a sidewalk tractor, a dump truck, an ADA accessible van, a public EV charging facility, the Parks Improvement Fund, the Styrofoam Recycling Unit, which Kristen did receive the $50,000 grant, so we are able to move forward with that. So congratulations to Kristen and that team. We had the fire truck, utility truck 1, transfer station improvements, which we're also working on for the fall. The town engineer is putting all of that together. We had funding the ADA Capital Reserve Fund with $25,000. The Cester Centennial Celebration Fund. The 250th committee has been actively meeting every month and organizing and coming up with lots of ideas for next year. So they'll be putting together something, our budget request for that celebration next year. And our annual Parkway, Swayze Parkway Trust Fund. Does anybody have any questions about the vote last year? Okay. I'm going to have Corey take you through financial matters for this year.
I'd just make a note,
Yeah.
Following up, that was a really nice sort of summary of where we stand with things, especially for anybody listening at home, a nice briefer. Items 8, 9, and 10, the Front Street, Pine Linden, Clemson Pond, and wastewater effluent, we are funding those with no new debt. We're repurposing debt that we had taken out previously that was not needed. So that's something to note. And then up to number 3, the Drinkwater Road groundwater, we have not borrowed that money yet, to your point, Andrew. We're waiting. I've talked with Director Cronin, and we're going to get through the fall, and we'll have a good sense of what the cost is, and then we'll go out in January and borrow the money we need. So we're not borrowing and paying interest any sooner than we need to. So that's great. So yeah, I'm going to take you through sort of 3 topics tonight. One will be just a high-level, quick look at where we are at 6:30 budget versus actual for 2025. A little bit of highlight on some of the borrowing we did last week and what we got for interest rates. And then just teeing up FY26 budget, kind of following on Bob's comments about where we stand with the budget challenges. So FY25 budget versus actual results as of June 30th. There's not a lot of there. It's pretty sleepy at this point. Spending is kind of keeping pace with what I would expect in the various lines in the various departments, and very similar to 2024 rates of spending as well. A couple notable items as I went through this last week. You might note under general government in line, on page 1. Liability insurance is 166% of budget already. That includes a subcategory when we have damage done to our property and we need to pay to have things repaired, and we get reimbursed from insurance. We put it to this insurance line, so it kind of spends over budget, but we have an offsetting revenue as well, which is our insurance reimbursement. So that's why that one looks a little out of whack. And then the other one I noticed is snow removal. Moving on to page 2, we are well over budget there as well. Last year we were fortunate enough not to have to tap into the snow and ice deficit fund, but this year I'm anticipating, given we're 123% of budget, that I will be requesting money out of that fund in the early part of 2026. Not too much else, budget versus actual. I would note a couple of structural changes to the budget that you might note this year. Based on the Keegan management report that we did a couple of years back, information technology now reports to me under the finance group, so you'll see that budget up under finance. Economic development has been moved under the planning group, so you'll see economic development under planning. And we've split the assistant town manager HR role, even though we haven't gotten an HR director yet, in name and on paper we've split them so that ATM is now under the town manager's office or budgets, and HR is its own under the human resource group. Looking briefly at water sewer, we are making headway on hiring, which is a good thing. We still, that hiring has kind of happened in the first part of this year, which accounts for why you see underspending in departments such as distribution and treatment in water, spent at 38% and 39% respectively. Still trying to find bodies, or now we'll start to see those budgets get hit more. Same with sewer. Our debt service lines look like they're way underspent. That's because our most of our debt service gets spent in August, and then with sewer it gets spent in December, so nothing new there. And then the other thing I noticed was that our capital outlay in both water and sewer were running pretty low. I spoke with our water sewer department head. Funds will be spent, just challenges mobilizing contractors to get work done, but he assures me that he has plans, if not invoices already, that he needs to submit. So all in all, really, nothing too concerning at the 6-month mark for budget versus actual. If obviously you guys just had a chance to look at this now, if there are any questions, feel free to call my office or stop by any time and we can chat about things more. So I did mention that last week we went out, we had our bond sale through the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank. Exeter borrowed on the public safety complex for $17.5 million. We borrowed for the Linden Street Bridge repairs at 1.26 that Melissa mentioned, and the DPW Fuel Island at $575,000. So all total, just over $19 million of borrowing. The public safety complex was a 20-year note. If I had borrowed that in January, I'd have been able to spend 0.5% less on my interest rate. So that's how interest rates are currently moving, still kind of inching up a little more than we've paid in the past. We didn't borrow anything last year, so we kind of dodged last year's high interest rate bullet, but we are still seeing interest rates higher than we've seen in a while for our borrowing. So moving on to FY26, which all of that kind of, yes, Judy, yeah.
When I look at the debt service at the back of our
CIP.
Yes, it looks like some things will be paid off. It would be nice to have a more careful look. When I look at it, it's a pretty naive look.
Yeah.
Just in terms of talking with people, it'd be nice if we could say, yes, taxes are still high again this year, but we're paying off a lot of debt service. Some way to give people hope.
Yeah.
For us to have a little
Taxes
bit.
never go down, do they?
So the reality of that is, you've got the existing debt up here, and if you were to just look at that, you would see it would go down, and we would sunset debt over time, and that number would go down. And if we did no other projects, to Andrew's point, taxes would go down, but we add more projects, which come up onto the existing debt. So it's more of maintaining a level than it is seeing it go down, unless people decide we don't want to pay for things anymore. We don't want to do any more capital projects. We want to see our debt service go down, which is an option. That would come with consequences. But the reality is we'll maintain a level of debt rather than seeing it reduce necessarily over time. And if you want to stop by my office, we can take a deep dive into those debt schedules that aren't like, two fonts. We could do it a little bigger if you want. But yeah, that's essentially what happens over time.
Okay, that's enough at this point.
Yeah.
Did we get a new rating, Corey? I thought you were going to get a new rating.
So I'm working that. I've engaged.
What is it, $17 million freaking bond? What's going on?
Well, so that's an interesting comment. So our credit rating as a town actually doesn't have any consequence on what our borrowing rates are.
Oh, okay.
Because we borrow through the bond bank. If we were a Portsmouth and we floated our own debt, then our rating would matter.
Okay.
So the rating that I'm actually getting is a general rating of the town that kind of speaks to the health of the town overall. And I've chose my vendor and we are going through that process now. So, yeah, I've
Better get
asked
an A,
that question.
Corey.
What's that?
Better get an A.
Better get an A, or a double A or a triple A, right?
I don't know, whatever the best one. That's the one I want.
Get that.
Get that, please.
But really, Judy, if you do want to talk about that more, I'm happy to sit down. So just, looking ahead to FY26, to say it's going to be challenging is a bit of an understatement. There are several components of the budget for FY26 that out of the gate are baked in. One is our debt service. Those three projects, including the sunsetting, Judy, of certain projects or debt this upcoming year, our debt service will be about $1.6 million increase over the prior year. And that's based on these three projects, $19 million that I outlined before.
What's that per 100,000 roughly?
Well, it's 1.6. I can do the math in my head, sorry.
It's okay. Maybe we'll talk later.
I'll get back to
how much it's going to impact my bill.
Yeah. Union contracts were another thing that were voted in by voters last year. That will add upwards of $500,000 to the general funds this upcoming year. And then, as Bob alluded to, healthcare costs, we're assuming that rates are going to be 15 to 20% higher than they were last year, similar to last year. That's the information we have so far. We'll hope for better, but that's at least what we're baking into the initial preliminary budget that we hand off to you folks. So, I mean, out of the gate, we're looking at substantial increase in the budget. These are all things that, we've decided we value. Public safety had to happen at some point, we feel. Linden Street Bridge needed to get repaired, and DPW needed a new fuel island. So it is a balance. We totally understand it between what we need and what we want. And this is probably one of these years. I know Melissa and I are going to be looking at it a lot more closely. Well, I wouldn't say that. I think it's a good year to really relook at everything that maybe we've assumed in the past as, it is what it is. Because these structural additions to the budget aren't something we can necessarily overcome in, a planning department's general operating expenditures. There's just not enough there. So, I think paying attention to our CIP nights, Bob and I think when I was on the board, the committee with you, we talked forever about how important it was to pay attention to the next capital projects we're looking to add to next year's debt service. So really paying attention to those, maybe taking an early look at that CIP book and seeing how you feel about what's being presented. You guys always do a great job of rising to the challenge, and I think this will be one of those years where you're in your keep.
Maybe get a key.
Judy? Did you have something?
Another issue that's tough for us is these union contracts are approved after we've worked on the budget. It would be nice if we had information about those contracts before we finished our budget work, because we're not presenting an honest budget to the select board, not knowing this huge piece about contracts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would let Melissa speak to that as well. I think the challenge this was my first year going through it, is, you're literally working with these unions to figure out what the contract's going to look like well into, it was December or beyond, beyond.
Well, no, it has to be done by the last day in December, but it's right up to the wire, and we start all the way in August. So it's quite a long negotiating process. We can look at it, but I believe that's sort of been the schedule that we have, but I will look at it. We don't have another contract to negotiate for 2 or 3 years, so we're good for a little bit, but this will be the first year of those negotiations that we're going to see hit the budget. So that's where the challenge is going to be for this year. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you both of you. Liz?
Go me. Corey, you mentioned one of the big issues are the healthcare costs going up again. For people who are watching, and me, what contributes to that cost going up every year in such a significant way?
So we get our health care through Health Trust, like many municipalities do. I think it is the rising cost of health care, but also they are in the process of rebuilding their reserves, and it's a multi-year plan that they incorporated, I think, a year ago, and this would be year 2 or 3 of that, and it is at least for another couple years.
Yeah, so there's a base cost or increase given to every community that's a part of it, and then there's a small part that looks at our claims for the previous year and what the risk is. So I can't remember what the average pool was, but we were just a little bit over the average pool. And what were we at 18.8% or something like that last year? So those are 2 things that factor in. And then, like Corey said, the Health Trust is regulated under the Secretary of State, excuse me. And so they have a policy that in a certain year, and I'm going to say this not 100% right, I wish Russ was here for this, but that the Health Trust has a turn back policy. So in their bylaws, if there's a certain percentage left over, then they have to turn that back to the communities. Well, that happened, I want to say, right around COVID. And so they turned that back. But then they had 1 or 2 very high claim years. And so they did not have the surplus or the reserves that they needed to have per normal insurance actuary recommendations. So they are now trying to build that back up slowly, and I do believe it's over a 5 or 6 year period. So where we used to budget, we'd come to kickoff and we'd put a budget holder in for 10%. And every year in October, the rates get set, and we're like, come on, be under 10%, because that means, maybe there's a little wiggle room in the budget. But this year that we knew right away that, and we had been told that it may be closer to 18 or 20%. So we're having to put that as a placeholder in the budget. So did that answer your question, Liz?
It did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that reserve is a big piece of what we're seeing.
People kind of like
dormant.
Is there any relationship between healthcare insurance and some of the other kinds of insurance, which obviously are being affected by all the calamities, disasters, whatever? And there are a lot of places where people can't even get insurance because, you know the story I'm talking about.
Right. We're not seeing our property and liability insurance go up at that kind of rate.
Yeah.
Not even our dental and they're all. It just seems to be healthcare for now. I'm going to knock on wood. Watch something happen, but just the healthcare right now that's seeing these significant increases.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks.
I think this is my 5th year working with this great group on the Budget Committee. And at the kickoff meeting every year, you say something very salient that we, really try to look at every item as its own individual merit, on its own individual merit, and not pin for a number. And I've been thinking a lot about that. And at the surface level, I agree. Each one of these things, every item that gets put before us needs to be judged on its merit, how it serves our community, and all of that. But I think it's hard when you look at a year like this, just like you do at home, like you do in any business. It's hard to dissociate all these things if you're worried about a budget increase, knowing that there's revenue and expense is expense, and all of our neighbors are feeling the pinch of higher tax rate and things like that. It's hard to dissociate those things and not look for savings in every possible area. Look at things to cut, things that, while an item might fly well on its merit, it could still be vulnerable if we're trying to achieve some relief. How do you suggest we balance that mentality? It's hard not to come into these meetings looking to provide some relief.
A great question. I wouldn't say that it's easy, but it's fairly straightforward. My experience is that most of the dollar increase or budget increase items are either CIP related or new labor related, is that most of the things that are in the budget, with the possible exception of capital outlay in water and sewer, are pretty stamped in stone. You know, we don't have a lot of say over the benefits. We don't have say over negotiations with unions and things like that. So most of what we're going, as you can see from this first page here, we passed a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this town values quality of life and many of these things associated with that, but it's also a lot of money that we approve. And we've been trying for a number of years, going back again, like Corey said, when he and I were together on the committee, of trying to make people understand that the CIP really matters. That's where we really have a say in what goes forward. And so this year, I have a feeling that a lot of the items that are going to be presented, we're going to have to take we always take a careful look, but it's going to require some difficult decisions because the regular budgets, we don't have a lot of actual jurisdiction over.
Right.
But we do over new labor and in the CIP. So that's where we will have our most effective impact, I think, is in the CIP. Any other questions?
Just have one more, Bob.
Sure.
That's mostly to Melissa, though. Do we foresee, speaking of where the money really goes, any new headcount this year?
No, it's funny that I was just thinking that. No, I am.
Thank you.
No, that's okay. We've been meeting with all the departments to give them a heads up because we wanted to meet with them early because of the situation that we have. So their budgets haven't been turned into me yet. But nobody has notified me of requesting any new positions, and I think they know that this is probably not the year for that. I can't guarantee it because they haven't passed it all in, but that's my understanding right now. Liz?
I think similar along those lines, and I'm sorry if you said it and I missed it, how many vacancies are open now?
So I didn't say that, and I apologize. I should have brought that with me. So we haven't been able to get an HR director yet, so that's one position. DPW, although we're making progress, I want to say we're still at about 8 or 7 people, but we've been at 13 or 14, so I know that sounds silly to be excited that we're only at 7 or 8, but it's been quite the challenge. Police and fire, I think we are just down 1 in police, and I think we just offered another one to a vacancy we had in fire actually this week. So I think we're good there. So we're pretty fully staffed with the exception of DPW, which has just been the struggle, which was part of those union negotiations. This isn't an Exeter problem. It's Seacoast, New Hampshire, New England, economy, housing, all of those things factor into the positions that are open right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Any other questions? Okay. Next agenda item is talking about the general process over the next few months. Again, everyone here is a veteran, and Jay Childs, our new member, has been on the committee before, so he's aware of the procedures as well. I know Pam and I went back and forth on meetings. There were a couple of duplicative meeting dates. Did I send out, or did Pam send out a meeting schedule?
No, I didn't get one.
I will send it.
Yeah, we got one.
Yeah.
I thought I.
Yeah.
And an amended one.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, because she changed it. Okay, so, we're having, obviously, the kickoff now. The budget presentation will be on October 1st. All of the meetings are on Wednesday, except for the October 17th, Friday all-day meeting with general government. And then we'll basically do every week after that, from the end of October through the end of November, the various departments and subcommittees. Format will be similar. We'll talk about, in general, the general fund in the departments first, and water and sewer will be the last discussions in the middle of November. CIP will be last, and again, I think everybody here has done a wonderful job of really researching the various projects and coming up with great questions. In the past, we've asked, during the various subcommittee presentations, I had asked 3 or 4 years ago that the subcommittee chairs address the warrant articles and CIP items associated. We didn't discuss them in detail, but just to get them out there. And mostly to be able to give the department heads, if there are any questions and things like that, that they could go back, do some research, and then have those answers on CIP night. That, I would say, is probably 50% successful, that, you know, the department heads sometimes go back and get us the answers, and other times they don't. I think this year it will be incumbent upon us to really internally start doing the CIP review early, so that during the various subcommittee presentations, if there are any detailed questions that we have as the overall committee, that would be a time to get it into the record, so that the department heads have anywhere from a week to a few weeks to develop the answers that we might need. I know I can think of a couple of items specifically last year where there was a lot of consternation, let's say, about the lack of information and the presentation thereof by the departments, and that doesn't do us any service. And quite frankly, the way the budget is shaking out this year is that might be a death knell for a request. So I think we really need to keep that in mind. We'll go over the subcommittees really quickly. Again, everybody except for Jay Childs is new. Liz has requested, was it just Public Works General, or did you want to be on Water and Sewer as well?
Those and the library still.
Oh, you want to stay on library?
Yeah, do it.
Got it. Okay. So you're
Lots
still
of
on that. And DPW General. I have on Police and Fire, I have Don Cloutier, Dave Kovar, and Judy as chair. Again, if people want to switch it up, feel free to say something, but that's the committee as it currently stands.
If possible, it would be nice to get a look at other parts of the town government. So,
I'm sorry?
It'd be nice for me to get looks at other parts of the town government so I have a better understanding.
Sure.
So if there's gaps someplace else,
we have a nice, healthy committee, and there's only 5 subcommittees, so there aren't any gaps.
Okay,
each subcommittee has at least 2 people, and most of them have 3, which should be plenty.
How many does DPW have?
DPW Water and Sewer has Fran, myself, and it was Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
And you had indicated an interest in staying on it, and Amanda's on that as well.
Okay, so that's that one because I have a lot. So
I was going to say that's really well covered then. I'm particularly interested in DPW and general government.
So DPW General.
DPW General or General Government?
Or DPW Water.
DPW
General.
And also general government.
Okay.
And DPW has 2.
So would you like to be on both of those in addition to police and fire, or?
I don't know whether I can do all 3 of those.
You can mull it over and send me an email, or?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I will let you know.
Okay. Frank.
Clarify something, because last year I showed up early and you were doing DPW.
General.
And then okay. But I'm just on Water and Sewer.
Yes, you are.
Got it.
But you're welcome to be on anything you want.
Okay. So can he?
So, Library, Parks, and Rec is just Liz and Chris Suter. Chris Ziggs and Anna are general government.
And me.
And Amanda. Oh yeah, that's right. You're on every committee. So.
Just tried to get off.
And DPW General is Amanda, Andrew, myself, and that's it. So, yeah, I mean, the more the merrier. DPW General, Water and Sewer, and Police and Fire tend to be, where there's a lot of information. Judy's got Police and Fire sort of locked down. She's got them under manacles, chains, and whips, and everything else.
They're pretty thoroughly
That's usually
covered.
pretty easy, but again, there's 3 people on it now, but if you want to get on something else,
I'll let you know. Thank you.
And again, so I would say at this point, sometime in the next week, if people want to change it up, just shoot me an email. do a reply all, if you would. Just send it to me, please, and we'll go from there. Okay, I think. Any questions on specific procedures and what we've talked about, CIP and other things?
Question. When I was speaking to Anna this summer, she said that she is going to have a very heavy schedule with her work, and I don't want to speak for her, but she was mentioning that she didn't feel she'd be able to chair the General Government Subcommittee. Do you remember that? Were you there for that?
Maybe.
Yeah. So how should we handle that? Do we handle that later? Do we handle that offline?
Well, I guess what I would suggest is that do you think you would still want to be on that subcommittee? Mm-hmm. And you want to still be on that subcommittee?
Unless they don't want me anymore, yeah.
We want you. And Anna wants to be on it. She just doesn't feel.
And you
chair.
are a possible on general government.
I am particularly interested in general government.
Okay, so I would say that at this point, between the 3 or 4 of you, decide who wants to be chair, or let's say the non-Anna of you. I agree, her business is going well, and that's a lot of work.
Yep.
So someone who might have a little bit of time at the end of the summer, early September, that would be great if you could take that on.
Perfect.
So last question is, Chris going to be bringing the chocolate chip cookies?
I am.
Oh, you will?
Oh,
I'm a very good cook.
Oh, all right.
Oh, wow.
Now we're talking.
Unfortunately, in the last year, I've become a really, really good cook.
gourmet chocolate chip cookies.
I will do that. I will take care of that, Judy. But thanks for
We can all take
looking out
turns.
for our best interest.
Just kind of a general statement for myself. This was my first year in the Budget Committee, and it was very much an eye-opener for me. And I really felt that I did more looking and listening than contributing. But I found in some social situations, people complaining about the taxes, and I found one of the simplest questions that I could pose to people is, how many firemen do you think we have in Exeter? And nobody ever said less than 10. How many policemen do you think we have? And there must be, and again, and I don't pretend to know every little detail, but I tried very hard to point out to people, you need to either get involved or pay attention, because a lot of the things that we have in this town, we're very lucky to have, and it's very well run. Whether it's any of the departments, I can't speak for everything, but I did find that I was kind of surprised at your taxes went up, and well, look at how many fire trucks we got, and this sort of foolishness. And anyway.
Can I tack on to that, though, and say I think there's some wonderful services that we have available to us, and most people don't know it. And I'll give you a simple example, and that is that one day I had a...
I don't either, Don.
What?
He said he didn't know how to necessarily get the information out, and which I think is what you were alluding to.
Well, I just say, I'm talking to Melissa, because you're in the best position of all to maybe work on the issue.
Absolutely.
And I had an instance recently where I had a malfunctioning smoke detector. I didn't know, I had nobody to fix it. I wasn't going to climb up a ladder all by myself, at my age in my house. I just don't do ladders anymore. So I called, I was talking to someone from Durham, and the woman said, "Oh, in Durham, the fire department will come over and change your smoke detector for you, but for anybody." I said, "Really?" So I called the fire department. It was hysterically funny. They sent a huge truck and 3 men. But they put, they did the trick.
That's fantastic.
Now, is that available to everybody? I don't know, but I'm just saying.
That one I don't know, but I will find out for you. But
So-
we
You
have
don't have
really
to. I'm just
reassessed.
making the point that
So there,
stuff like that goes out all the time. I think people don't know it.
so there is a communication committee which was quiescent for a while, and I stuck my head up, or somebody volunteered me, but I'm on the communication committee now. And really a significant part of the reason I joined that committee is for reasons similar to what you all are talking about. There's a lot going on in town, positive, negative, and neutral, and there's no one way to reach everybody in town.
No.
Different people consume information in different ways.
Yeah.
Some people are flat out apathetic, some people are more engaged. And so addressing that gap in flow of information is what that committee's for. So A, I'll try to remember to bring it up at the next committee, but B, there is a communications committee every quarter, if I remember correctly, and I strongly encourage both people from the town to come and say, hey, this is how I want to get my information, but also people to come and say, hey, there's this important thing that's not getting out, how do I communicate it?
Yeah.
We've been trying for years, and,
Yeah,
and
no.
Public Services, Nico has gone on, made videos. These guys spend, countless hours putting, Facebook posts and things like that. One thing that I sort of chuckled at, to your point, if you look at the water and sewer operating budgets, you would think they're sort of the same thing, from most people's perspective. The votes there were 250 different, or 260
the differences.
different votes on those two items. So 260 people said, we like water, sewer.
Yeah, no sewer.
And, no sewer.
So question for you,
what reason?
how many people in town are on septic?
About 40%.
Yeah.
Right, so those of us on septic, why would we vote for sewer?
Because you're part of a democracy.
Yeah.
No, you know who I
Lots of
am.
luck.
No, but you know how I feel about that, and I absolutely
do.
agree with you. We
And
are part of democracy.
I'm sorry for being a wise guy. But
No.
it's just that's sort of endemic of our challenge.
It is
that
endemic of the challenge.
People look at things just differently. And
So
there's 6,000 people.
gathering information about, so first of all, that's a really important data point to have. And if there's some mechanism we're digging into why that did occur, so at least we're aware of why that's happening, maybe we can or cannot address it, but that's the sort of thing to bring up in the communication committee.
Yeah, you can't complain when only 2,000 people show up to vote.
Right.
Either.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't complain when 17,000 of the people didn't show up, or however
But
many
they
people
still
have in town.
complain, and they still, it's,
Corey?
I'm going to change the subject.
Yes.
good.
Thank you, Corey.
Before I forget this, Melissa has to remind me.
We had 30 seconds.
We cannot give out templates for y'all to do your work before the select board gets the budget.
Right.
I know there was some compression of time last year, and people had agendas, and we totally get that. But we can't hand out anything before the select board says, go forth and budget. So that happens.
The September 29th, I believe, is this
So
Tuesday.
right after that, we'll have them out the door, or that evening,
Yep.
we'll get them out the door. But it just, last year there was some confusion on that.
Well, the only real issue with that is the general government.
That's right.
Because they're meeting in September, and then we have the report. Well, it's actually 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
But whoever the chair is of the general government going forward would communicate with you and figure something
Yep.
out. But yeah, I mean, everything is late this year.
It's
Not sure why without looking at a calendar,
No,
but
it's about what it was last year, almost to the day.
well, we usually have our budget presentation well back into September. I mean, it might be the 25th or 26th, but it's,
It may just
it's
be where
usually
Labor
early.
Day is falling. I haven't
Oh,
looked
yeah.
at that,
I mean,
but
that's, it's fine. Okay. Any other issues, comments, discussions going forward? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting to Wednesday, October 1st at 6:30.
So
where
So
we will
moved.
get the budget presentation by Ms. Roy. Thank you all, and we'll see you then.
Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.